I'm not worthy, or am I? I'm Rick from Thriving Now. I'm here with Kathy from the Intimacy, Kathy Vartuli from the intimacydojo.com and Thriving Now. And we've been co-creating, and this worthiness energy keeps coming up. It's something that is alive for people, and sometimes it's sort of a generalized, I'm just not worthy. And you ask them, well, not worthy for what? And it's like anything, any of the good stuff. Where do you think that comes from?
I think we learn it when we're children. We see all these grown-ups wandering around and doing things, and we're just not like our fingers, like when we're 3, our fingers are not as dexterous. Our brain is not fully formed. We don't have experiences and understanding and skills yet. And I know when I was little, and I've talked to a lot of people, like I didn't really feel younger. Like I didn't have a sense of not like and maybe that's an evolutionary thing. Like if I just was like, oh, I'm 3, I'll worry about it later. Hyenas are more likely to get me versus I'm like, I must learn how to light fire and, you know, catch bunnies or whatever it was. There's kind of like there was an imperative. I must be as good as these people. And I noticed that still at work. Like I'll do this, like if I'm learning something new, I don't go, oh, I'm new at this. I can be awkward. Let me look at how people are doing that are my level. I'm looking the best person that ever did this, and I've got to be that good before I'm okay. And so I think there's some bonus in that, like in terms of like there's the drive and like the I want that, but
Right.
there's also an exhaustion
Mm.
and never feeling like, oh, I just get to be me right here, right now. I don't have to be that 3-year-old struggling. Like I've really got things handled. I've got, my home is together, my car has gas in it, my bills are paid. We all have stuff to do, but I think it's an ever like we can really get caught up in that I'm not worthy, and it can take over our lives so that we never really live and enjoy them. Like I'm here with amazing people that are curious. I'm here with Rick, who I adore and so love co-creating with, on amazing technology where we can see each other all over the world. And yet part of my brain could go, oh, I was going to do those 3 things before I got here. And if I don't get those 10 things done tonight, like as opposed to, hey, wow, I'm right here right now with talking about a subject that affects a lot of people and dancing with my co-creator and with the people on the call. It's
Yeah.
pretty amazing.
Hmm. Thank you. And what's interesting, and at first when I got to know people who I looked at and I said, "Oh, you've got gas in your car. You've got your things together," you know, um, and they would share this kind of core feeling, and it often would get triggered by like one thing, like
Mhm.
maybe it's a mate, or maybe it's money, maybe it's something else that's dear to
Not
them.
having a mate, or someone's fighting with you, or
Yeah.
things not going
And
perfectly
then and
together.
then there's this sort of feeling. And so first I wanted to acknowledge that if I say I am not worthy, it feels like about a 6.
Yeah,
And that's really interesting to me. It is interesting to me that after everything that I've done, that reality would still be at a 6.
I think
And
it's like that old helix. Like you keep seeing it, like we're growing, we're healing, but we're seeing it from a different perspective. It comes around.
right, because now it doesn't feel as personal. It
Yeah,
feels like the bucket that I put in anything that I'm not a match for.
yeah,
And so worthiness, it means something different, but it used to be very raw. Like if I wanted something and it didn't come to me,
like
how do I explain this?
yeah,
And we know from having done inner tapping with children that there's so many experiences that we as humans have where it's like, I've been a good person, a good boy, a good girl.
I really have.
I really have. and it's Christmas, or it's my birthday,
I was supposed to get a
or
pony.
I was promised the pony and it's been 3 years now and I've been a good boy.
Or you
I've
might not
worked,
even been promised a pony, just really wanted
just
one.
really wanted it, right?
Yeah,
And at some point it's like, well, why is this thing that I want so much not coming to
yeah,
me?
yeah.
And I do think that there's, oh, I'm just not worthy. And sometimes that comes out as I'm not good enough.
Mhm.
Um,
I
but
think it's also,
go
oh,
ahead.
okay, so I think it's also a protective mechanism.
Yeah,
When we're children, and even as adults, we don't want to be mad at the people we love. We don't want to be disappointed in them. We don't want to have conflict with them. And as children, if we see our parents as fallible, which humans are,
yeah,
and mom and dad might have been really tired or really broken, um, if we acknowledge that they're broken or defective in some way, the world feels very unsafe.
yeah.
They're not going to always be there to meet my needs. They might try, they might care, but they're going to fail sometimes. And that means a hyena could get me. That's terrifying. If it's my fault, and this is what I did, I embedded this very deeply.
Mhm.
If it's my fault, if I wasn't good enough, I wasn't worthy enough, at least I have the ability to try to change things. I can try to be better. I can try to work harder. I can try to be more lovable, God darn it. Um, if it's outside of me, if it's the people that keep me safe, or the world even doesn't feel safe, how do I continue walking through that world? How do I function? How do I be okay? That doesn't feel safe to a small child. It doesn't feel safe to a big child or an adult often.
Mhm.
So if we can make it our fault, then we have at least a little corner of power somewhere that we have some hopes of controlling. So a lot of people hold on to this. Like, I think that's one reason this one comes back so persistently,
Yeah,
is because if I let this go, then I acknowledge that there are times I have no power in this world. There are things I have power over, and there are things that are outside, and I don't want to admit that my safety is outside.
yeah. That's worthy of amplifying. The truth can be unsafe, and it's a psychological protection.
Mhm.
It also allows us to stick with things and relationships, whether
There's sometimes ones that are
child.
good and sometimes that are not
I,
very good
I
for
was
us.
talking to a dear friend, and she's really at the end of a relationship that's been 7 years, and there's a feeling in her that she's going to be lonely for the rest of her
Yeah,
life. Which, on the surface of it, anyone who knows and loves her is like, "Wait a minute, this makes no sense." So that's where in the energy approach we look at, like, how does this serve us? And
mhm,
that's really, I think, our starting point is, how does this feeling of being feeling not worthy serve us?
yeah.
And it can be protection, like you said, and that can carry forward into all of our adulthood too. It's like, oh, if I'm not worthy, there's a hope that I can change this. It's not just that
Mhm,
my boss is an asshole,
yeah,
and um, so I'm not really worthy of praise and appreciation and a good
yeah,
solid salary and thoughtfulness and kindness and compassion, because
yeah.
I'm in this, like, I believe that the slave brain is a part of us as well, just like the child brain is a part of us. We were born as children. That's definitely going to be active. Um, Although you reflected, Kathy, that even at 3 or 4, I was with a 4-year-old today. He does not like know that he's 4.
Yeah.
He doesn't get his say all the time, but he's more than willing to make the rules if space is given. And but there's a part of me, at least, that knows what it's like to have no power,
Well,
and
that's
that,
it's a reality of humanity.
yeah,
It was interesting when I was really sick a couple of years ago. I've always had this fear of being incapacitated and at the mercy. And for about a month, I like could a long time I couldn't even get out of bed. I thought I could, but I couldn't. Um, but it was like part of my brain just went into that freeze mode. Like it just like, hey, this is what is. I can't change it. But it was amazing to me how quickly I slipped into it, and then it took me a little while to actually not be so passive with people. Like if someone would tell me they were going to do something, I'm like, okay, wait, that's someone I hired to do something, and I don't want him to do that. I should say something. Like,
Yeah. So there's the vulnerability, there's the protection, there's
mhm,
being vulnerable, literally
yeah,
vulnerable, and um, and that feeling of, I really don't, I'm not worthy, and so I need to just like take what I can get. You know,
yeah,
that's a way that it's a kind of a, like, willpower is a way of doing an action that you want to do,
right,
and that feeling of like, okay, I'm not really worthy of anything better, so I'll take these crumbs of kindness that I'm given, or I have to tolerate the way that they treat me because I'm not worthy. And it doesn't matter what age that comes. It is a form of protection, and it's also, a form of capitulation. And sometimes we really, how do I say this? On the protection front, one of the things I've noticed in inner tapping also is that there are very dominant people,
yes,
and some really like aggressively, even violently or abusively dominant people use that energy until the person that they're dominating radiates that energy of, I'm not worthy. It's all my
right,
fault. I'm the one who's not good enough. It's all my fault. I'm not worthy of being treated with respect as a human being. And
yeah, absolutely, yeah. No, I think that people learn how to treat us basically by how we, like, I watch people all the time. I'm kind of an introvert and I'm around people, but I see people all the time. We approach each other and nobody knows, like, if they don't know each other, they don't know each other's status or power, and so they kind of interact and there's a little testing of the water. And some people, and I do this sometimes, like, annoys the hell out of me, but I'll like submit myself, like I'll act like they're, especially if I'm like fangirl about somebody, like, oh, you're so wonderful. And they're like, oh, I am wonderful. And then, like, if I keep letting people look for how far they can go.
yeah.
And I don't always know that they mean to be bad. It's just like they're not trying to be mean. It's just like instinctual. Oh, I can go this far and it's fine. This is easier for me. I don't have to work so hard with this person. Maybe I'll try a little bit further. And sometimes I just have to say, oh, I'm a fangirl, but that's far enough.
Hmm.
And then most people, it's surprising if you're really grounded and aligned. Most people are like, oh, okay, sorry. So
Mm.
yeah,
So if you're on the call, we have more people that have joined us. We invite you to share something, like what triggers you around this feeling of unworthiness. Um, and if you want to share how it impacts your life. Um,
yeah. I'd love to. If we want to do some tapping,
yeah.
if you'd like to share, we can call you forward too.
Yep. If we have,
Um,
if you have a camera and a microphone, if you just want to be on microphone, we can do that too, but you'll have to cover your camera because it says there's no way for us to just control that. So that's an option.
yeah.
Did I just lose you?
Uh,
You
what
turned off your
happened?
camera.
I didn't mean to. What
I
happened?
guess you can toggle video.
I didn't mean to toggle video. Let me see. Setting,
I
change
just
camera and mic. We can't find available cameras. So it says I have to restart my browser. Wow.
Wah. Okay.
That's weird. I didn't do anything. I'm just
Yeah,
sitting
because I
right here.
activated your camera and it's just showing a still image. So
So I'm gonna have to leave and come back. I'm
okay,
sorry.
that sounds good. Well, not good, but
Better than nothing.
yeah, I'll see you in a little bit.
Yeah.
Gene, you said it feels like a mixed bag. Do you want to say more about that? I think that for me, okay, thank you, Gene. Um, So let's just tune in for a moment about a dynamic where you start feeling like I'm not worthy of something. Can be not worthy of taking up space, not worthy of attention, not worthy of love. And let's just do a little bit of tapping here. We're waiting for Kathy to return. Just tap the points and tune into that. And it can be weird. I think that for me, as I look at situations where I'm feeling shy, this is where that energy is higher. It's like, oh, yeah, I don't feel as worthy. It's another way of saying, I don't feel as worthy as they are of this or that success. Things like. And as you can tell, this is a hard one to come to grips with. I think sometimes in a specific example, like someone will say, well, I'm not worthy of love. And we can ask, well, what makes you not worthy? What's the indictment against you? And those can give us some specifics as well. And one person wrote, Dottie, thank you. It's not so bad as it used to be. As I have clear stuff with tapping and feel more connected to spirit, I don't feel so alone and I don't feel so unworthy. Yeah, that's been alive for me, is that my spiritual connection, the depth of that, the way that spirit has like recalibrated from a status orientation to one that's more collaborative and circle, and noticing that when people are playing the status game, which I think is primal. I read an article the other day about how much of our primitive brain is actually sensors for status and loss of status and exclusion and abandonment type things. Um, and when we feel ashamed, that's where that energy comes up. Okay, Kathy thinks she's back. Let's try this. Dun, 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 dun. Well, I can hear you, but I can't see you. Came in without the video again.
I have both videos available, so I mean, let's see if I can change. Sorry, guys. FaceTime camera. Save. There I am.
Yay.
Yay,
She's back.
thanks, guys. Sorry about that.
Yeah. This is all magic anyway. So would you lead us in some tapping around it being protective and opening up the possibility that we don't need that as a protection anymore?
Yeah, so let's take a nice slow deep breath. And let yourself go into your feet, into your body, into the cells that might hold this energy. Some of it's very, very old. Some of it's been around for a long time. So just, if you can, give yourself permission to open up to this energy, not resist it. Karate chop. Hey, younger self.
Hey, younger self.
You are so smart.
You are so smart.
How did you figure this out?
How did you figure this out?
It's really quite brilliant.
It's really quite brilliant.
It's really good protection.
It was really good protection.
And you are so clever.
You're so clever.
Top of the head, you couldn't be mad at mom and dad.
You couldn't be mad at them.
Eyebrow, you had to bond to them.
You had to bond to them.
Side of the eye, the care you got would have not been so nice if you were angry all the time.
Yeah, the care you got wouldn't have been so nice if you were angry all the time.
Under the eye, and you figured out that if you blamed yourself,
You figured out if you blamed yourself.
Under the nose, you could handle this better.
Can handle this better.
Chin, and in fact, me wanting to be better,
In fact, me wanting to be better.
collarbone, that inspired me to some amazing feats of learning.
It did drive me to some amazing feats of learning.
Under the arm, I can't believe how clever you are.
I can't believe how clever you are.
Top of the head, thank you for taking care of us.
Thank you for taking care of us.
Eyebrow, and I have such good news for you now.
And I have such good news.
Side of the eye, well, that worked so well back then.
Well, it did work so well back then.
Under the eye, it's not really that good to blame myself all the time.
It's really not so good to blame myself all the time for things I
Under the
don't do.
nose, yeah, under the nose, it's okay to acknowledge that sometimes things don't go my way.
It's okay to acknowledge that sometimes things just don't go my way.
Chin, and to sometimes say, hey, that's a boundary, do not cross it.
And sometimes say, hey, that's a boundary. Don't cross that.
Collarbone, it's okay to let go of this old protection.
It's okay to let go of the old protection.
Under the arm, it works so well.
It worked so well.
Top of the head, and now there might be better ways to handle this.
And now there's definitely better ways to handle this.
Nice, slow, deep breath.
And for those of you that are learning tapping, notice that Kathy and I will softly say something like, "Oh, there might be a better way to do it." And if that's the right energy for you, great. I I've decided that there are better things, or there definitely are some better ways. You'll know if you're reaching too far around this. For some people, the protection is still in place, and they are still relating to some people that expect them to never challenge the hierarchy. And it is an energy orientation that gets you to a place where you're not really playing that game. Even though other people may think you're playing the game, it starts feeling a bit like they're going, they're playing rock, paper, scissors, and you're like,
oh, wait.
which, yeah, I'm not actually playing that game.
Yeah.
And and that takes some development.
And I think that, the Dottie shared it. It's a grappling with shame. I don't know if you talked about this while I was gone, but I think the whole sense of, the basic core of shame is I am not good enough.
Yeah.
There's something wrong with me, and that's so tied with worthiness. Like, if it's just a mistake I made, or I can make mistakes and fail sometimes, that's not shame, and that's also not a sense of I'm unworthy. It might mean I need to learn a little more or be a little more careful, but it's not like this core I am unworthy.
Right.
That's so integral with shame. In fact, shame is if you're feeling shame, it's a really good indicator light that there's some belief about not being good enough, or not being enough, or not being who you should be. And that's very core, foundational, very identity related. Mm-hmm.
Even though I have some shame.
Even though I have some shame.
And it's weaseled its way into my identity.
And it's weaseled its way into my identity.
And there are ways that I just don't feel worthy.
And there are ways I just don't feel worthy.
What's up with that?
What's up with that?
I acknowledge that I have these feelings of shame.
I acknowledge that I have these feelings of shame.
And I'm in the process of looking at that.
And I'm in the process of looking at that.
With a more compassionate heart than I was given.
With more compassionate heart than I was given by others.
Top of it. They were really cruel at times.
They were very cruel at times.
Eyebrow. They sort of looked down on me.
They sort of looked down on me.
Side of the eye. That really messed with my sense of worthiness.
That really messed with my sense of worthiness.
Under the eye. They shamed me.
They shamed me.
And thus I learned to shame myself.
I learned to shame myself.
And it's so much better to shame yourself ahead of time.
It is so much better to shame yourself ahead of time.
What if that's an archaic way of survival?
I wonder if that's an archaic way of survival.
I'm pretty sure at my age, I don't have to shit on myself anymore.
I'm pretty sure at my age I don't have to shit on myself anymore.
What if I am worthy?
What if I am worthy?
What if I've always been?
What if I've always been?
And that last part can be big. I want
Yeah.
to acknowledge that. We come to a place in our healing where seeing the truth about people that raised us, people that we still love and have relationships with, where instead of the shame, blame, shame dynamic, which can be mutual, but oftentimes there's an imbalance there, especially with when worthiness is there. You start seeing them accurately, which can be very grief inducing. It can be very unsettling to start seeing our parents' illnesses, or their energy and emotions were unsafe, unhealthy, unkind, detached.
Can we do a little tapping on that? Because I think that's really core. If we can't grieve, if we can't let some of that go, it's just really easy to get caught up in it.
Yeah. Would you lead us?
Mm-hmm. Take a nice, slow, deep breath.
I need some water first.
Feel your toes, feel your butt, kind of get in your body. Tapping works best if we're present. It's not required, but it does help. Karate chop, even though I'm so disappointed in him.
Good gender choice. Even
though it's coming to me, you can change it, of course.
Yeah, well, we're on the same page. Even though I'm so disappointed in him.
I thought he could do better than that.
I thought he could do better than that.
In fact, I expected better than that.
I really expected better than that.
He led me to believe that he could do better.
He led me to believe that he could do better.
And I looked up to him.
And I looked up to him.
I have a lot of grief as I let that go.
I have a lot of grief that I can't run that by again. As I let that go. Yeah.
Top of the head. I wanted someone to look up to.
I wanted someone to look up to.
Eyebrow. I wanted to feel safe.
I wanted to feel safe.
Side of the eye. I felt safe around him. Some of the time.
I felt safe around him some of the time.
Under the eye, and now he really let me down.
He really let me down.
Under the nose, I feel so disappointed.
I feel so disappointed.
Chin, and my heart hurts.
My heart hurts.
Collarbone, it's okay to let some of this pain go.
It's okay to let some of this pain go.
Under the arm, and understand that he might have been a little broken too.
And I'm pretty darn sure that he was broken too.
Top of the head. I send him off to the universe with love.
I send him off to the universe with love.
And I accept my own strength in the place that he used to occupy.
And I accept my own strength in the place that he used to occupy.
Nice,
my life.
Deep breath. I think we do. We assign strength. We project our own strength and our own integrity and our own inspiration out onto other people because it feels good to have someone to look up to. And, when we reclaim that, like, okay, this person wasn't perfect. I'm not perfect. But we can be wounded healers. We can be amazingly powerful, dynamic change artists who create something different in the world and still have our flaws and our foibles. And we can be powerful in ourselves. We can be like, no, I am this. In fact, I think that often we admire other people the most for things that we really have. Like we resonate with them. And
Mhm.
not this isn't 100%, but often I found when I could look at myself objectively, which is really hard for humans to do, that the people I admired the most and wanted to be close to, I actually had a lot of the strengths that I admired in them, but I wasn't letting myself see that or didn't feel safe to acknowledge that. And so if you find yourself really admiring somebody, it can be really powerful to ask yourself that you acknowledge, hey, that's wonderful, this person has it. Is it possible that I have some of these things too, and I'm just not letting myself see it?
Mhm.
Because we don't tend to like people that we're really, really different from often. Like if there's a core foundational belief in integrity and doing the right thing and being a good person in the world, there's a resonance and echo with that. And we're going to seek those people out and want to spend time with them, which is good. But it's not good when we deny that we have it in ourselves, because then we don't let other people be inspired by us. And we
Mhm.
all need as much inspiration as we can get.
Indeed.
So
I'm
with
drawn.
that,
I'm drawn to kind of take us into a little exercise.
yeah,
So, what if we complete the sentence? I'm not worthy of, and make it something that you desire.
yeah.
Can be sex, love, money, freedom, creativity, whatever it is.
How, yeah.
Mhm. So I want a moment to just kind of feel into. Um,
And don't let the Facebook cats win. Be present with the moment. Your brain, sometimes our brains don't want to notice things, or it just feels easier to do something else. So if you can invite your brain back to this topic, the cats will be their leader.
okay. And once you have that feel in your body, especially in this case, feel for the part of you that's certain that this is true.
Mhm.
It's a little different. It's like, okay, what part of you is certain that you're not worthy of this experience, this situation, this,
Yeah.
and feel
So
for like, where does that certainty and how
it's great.
intense is that? Go ahead.
I mean, just feeling where it is, assigning it a spot, or
Hmm.
noticing.
And I found it helpful to write down like 3 bits of evidence. Because if you have certainty about something around your identity, there's usually some evidence. This evidence does not have to make sense. It may make perfect sense to you, but feel into if there's evidence. Now, sometimes people can't come up with any evidence, which is useful too.
Hmm.
But I've got some evidence, so
Yeah,
I'm
me
going
too.
to um, do.
And yeah,
Yeah.
if someone shared, I'm wondering why I can't feel the word worthy. Someone else shared, I'm not worthy of a healthy, loving sexual relationship. And the question earlier, was it about dad? It was actually, there's someone else in my life that has recently been not so consistent. So it certainly could have been about dad, but in that case, it wasn't for me. It was someone else who I feel like has not been stepping up in the way that I would think is most useful to the world, and kind of not being there for people in the way that he committed to, if that helps.
Mine was about dad at first, and then had some specifics, and then a couple of other flashes of,
Yeah.
in my case, male faces. Okay, so if
Do
you
you
have
want to
your
share yours?
evidence,
Yeah.
your evidence here, ask how certain you are about those. Like, how true are they? Like the first one, oh yeah, 10. Um, yeah, the next one is actually true at like a 3, but it feels really important. Like,
Each of your evidence, is that
yeah,
that true?
yeah,
Hmm.
right. And last one's about a 5.
Hmm. Do you want to share your evidence, if that'd be helpful?
No, I'm going to keep my privacy on this one.
Okay.
Um, yeah, okay.
Okay.
So this is a tapping. I've done this process for myself
Hmm.
before around things and seen a shift. So I'd like to lead it. On
Yeah.
that.
I
Okay.
could use some shifting around that,
Yeah, great job. Even though I have my evidence,
even though I have my evidence.
and a part of me is so certain
And a part of me is so certain
that I'm not worthy of that.
that I'm not worthy of that.
I accept that I'm simply not worthy.
I accept that I'm simply not
Top
worthy.
it. I'm not worthy.
I'm not worthy.
Yes, I am.
Yes, I am.
I'm not worthy. Look at the evidence.
I'm not worthy. Look at the
The
evidence.
I. What if that's? Hmm, I am worthy.
What if I am worthy?
And those. I'm not worthy.
I'm not worthy.
I am worthy of that.
I am worthy of that.
Call on. Oh bullshit. I am not.
Oh, bullshit. I am not.
I'm not worthy.
I'm not
Not
worthy.
of that.
Not of that.
Top of head. Well, what would it take to be worthy of that?
What would it take to be worthy
And
of
is
that?
worthy really the measure?
Is worthy really the measure?
Okay. And this is take a deep breath. And if you imagine that there's somebody out there that has this, right? Especially if you can imagine that they have this,
Mhm.
but you look at them and are like, huh, well, they have this. How did that happen?
Yeah.
Right? And so I'm loosening, what I do is I loosen up the certainty, right?
No, I like the going back and forth. It's interesting because I've worked a lot on this with you and with other people, and just I like finding it in my like I found it in my bones, and I was asking for evidence, and a lot of it for me was about the sexual abuse that I had,
Yeah.
and so my evidence is that my body and my bones ached, and that I wasn't strong enough to make it stop or protect other people, that it kept happening. So like the bones really feel very strongly like, no, this is certain. This is like that, look at how much pain there was. It's certain that I'm not worthy.
Mhm.
And it's really, I like that process of like, it felt, it's interesting. They don't feel like tens, but they feel very entrenched. Like, no, you shall not move, you shall not pass.
Okay. As you feel into your bones, is there a next step that your bones are suggesting, or that as you look at yourself and what would be next for being with that feeling?
And maybe just being with it, but it doesn't, like, I'm not clear. Usually I'll get like some guidance, and this is just like, nope, this is what is. Hate it, but that's what
This
is.
is what is.
This 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 is what is.
The association seems to be in my bones.
The association seems to be in my bones.
Yeah. This this proof in my bones.
This proof in my bones.
It just feels certain.
It feels very certain.
It just feels so certain.
It feels so certain.
This certainty in my bones.
This certainty in my bones.
Hmm.
Thanks for tapping on that. I'm curious, and if it will continue shifting. Should we see if anyone wants to step forward and do some tapping on their worthiness?
Yeah. Anyone want to just say me, and we'll invite you forward.
Yay, Daddy!
I will. Here you come, Dottie. You'll get an invitation on your screen. Just say yes, and you'll join us.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Hi.
Hi.
And you're
Thanks
okay.
for
Your
coming
video, you
forward.
don't want the video on, right?
I don't have a camera on this computer.
Well, that makes it simple.
Yeah,
Well, we can hear you loud and clear, and thank you for
Okay.
coming forward.
sure.
What's alive for you here?
Well, this thing of having a relationship, I'm 69 years old. I've never been married. It's been years since I've had a sexual relationship. And it's like that's just the way it is. It's always going to be that way, even though I've been having fantasies lately of maybe there's
That's
some
nice.
nice senior citizen out there that I can hook up with. I'm a
Well,
senior citizen.
69 is a very sexual year.
Yeah, I believe it. I believe it. I'll be 70 in a couple of months. And, I'm embarking on my new career as an energy healer and stuff, and I'm really good at
Love
it.
it.
And I closed off my sexuality when I went to psychic school way back when. And
Yeah.
it's like, okay, the psychic stuff I handled, and I am. And so now it's time to open up the other one.
Why did you close it down?
Because I felt like I couldn't handle both of them.
Okay.
Sexuality and opening up my psychic ability. I was 30 at the time.
Yeah.
And going to psychic school. And I couldn't handle both. That's what I said. I can't handle both.
Yeah.
I was coming off the freeway onto Gough Street. I can't handle both.
Can you imagine being back there in that car with that person, that younger you, that 30-year-old that decided that?
Yes.
Can we freeze frame it so like she's not having to drive?
Yes, that would be helpful. Okay.
Okay. And everyone else is frozen, but the two of you, like the car's not moving, no one outside, like the birds are happily sitting in trees, just waiting for you to finish.
Mm-hmm.
Ask her if she's willing to do some tapping with you.
Yes, she is.
Wonderful. Would she like you to tap on her, or would she like to tap on herself?
She can tap on herself.
Okay.
She'll
so can you imagine...
she'll follow my lead.
Great. Okay, so imagine you're sitting in the front seat next to her,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm in the back seat if that feels okay.
Mm-hmm.
And just take a nice slow deep breath. Karate chop. And imagine that you're right there with her and that she's tapping as you tap along on your body.
Mm-hmm.
Even though that was a really good decision back then.
Even though that was a really good decision back then.
And I really appreciate you taking care of us.
And I really appreciate you taking care of us.
You learned so much.
You learned so much.
And you're right, it probably would have been too much.
And you're right, it probably would have been too much.
I have some really great news for you.
I have some really great news for you.
We're much stronger now.
We are much stronger now.
And we have a ton more experience.
And we have a ton more experience.
In fact, I've come back from the future.
In fact, I've come back from the future.
And I have more experience than the years you've been alive.
And I have more experience than the years that you've been alive.
So I can promise you we can get this.
I promise you we can get this.
Top of the head, you shut down our sexuality.
You shut down our sexuality.
Eyebrow, that's proof you're pretty powerful.
That's proof you're pretty powerful.
So, yeah, some people try their whole lives and can't do it.
Some people try their whole lives and can't do it.
Under the eye. And that was a really smart thing to do back then.
And that was a really smart thing to do back then.
Under the nose. But now I'd like to invite it back in our lives.
But now I'd like to invite it back into our lives.
Chin, so I'd love your power to help open that up.
I would love your power to help open that back up, please.
Collarbone, and we don't have to open it up to a 10 right now.
We don't have to open up to a 10 right now.
Under the arm, let's leave it at a 2 or 3 for a couple days.
Let's leave it at a 2 or 3 for a couple of days.
Top of the head to let the circuits get some flow.
To let the circuits get some flow.
And then we can keep cranking it up.
And then we can keep cranking it up. Get
So
it
we're
flowing.
good. Yeah, so all the way up.
All the way up.
Nice deep breath. What does she think about that?
Say again?
What does she, if you ask her, what does she think about that?
Kind of hopping up and down in the seat.
Yeah?
She likes the idea.
Wonderful.
She likes the idea, yeah.
Okay, could you invite her to look through your eyes now, just so that she really gets that you're not back then? Like, can you physically look around the room you're in now and invite her to see? Does it look anything like what she remembered?
No, I wasn't in this. She wasn't in this house.
Right.
Ever.
And did she have a computer?
Oh, heavens no.
They didn't exist 40
They
years ago,
didn't
really.
exist back then. That
Not
was
not
back
unless
in
they're a whole building or something.
1978, 79, somewhere in there.
Yeah. And can you let her know, like, let her feel your strength and your experience. Like, you have like a real power. You've gotten really good with your energy and your,
Yes.
your connection with people. Like, there's a whole bunch of stuff she didn't have access to back then.
Hmm.
So invite her
She had
to,
a lot of self doubt back then.
yeah. And you worked so hard and cleared so much of that.
Yeah.
So if you can, just like invite her to be like let her feel your power and your understanding that you could bring to an amazingly lucky person or
Hmm.
persons, depending on
Yes.
what makes you happy. If you were having a really great sexual relationship with them,
Hmm.
does she like the idea?
Yes.
Would she like to help you so you can do it together?
Yes.
Great. So she's pretty powerful and insightful. Like even back then, she was one, very powerful. Two, she understood at that point it was too much.
Yes.
So would
Yes.
she be willing to help you look for someone who's a really healthy, good match and let you know if something seems a little off?
Yes, she's willing to help. I doubt her ability to see a good, healthy person at that point. She
Okay,
came,
well maybe.
she was wounded from her growing up in an alcoholic household.
Mhm.
I've got the
Yeah.
wisdom at this point,
Well, maybe
and she's got the
together.
excitement.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
maybe you can together move forward to that.
Yes.
And one clue that it's worked really well for me. Some people have beliefs about age limiting their sexuality,
Hmm.
and I worked with a couple clients where I just invited them to invite a younger self forward to play and be part of the sexuality,
Hmm.
and they were like, it was like I was that age again. So much of it's in our own head.
Yes.
Um, so if she wants to be part of that, she could add a lot of vitality and energy that could be fun for this.
Yeah. And she could walk a lot better than I do now, and she was much more agile. So that would
Yeah.
be good.
So see, because sometimes it's those beliefs that, like, sometimes if we're not flowing sexual, passionate energy, our joints can get stiff.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, just like be open to the idea that if you let her walk with you and you're letting this energy flow, that your walking might be more agile and more easy.
I like that idea. I
It's
like that
definitely true
idea.
for me. I mean, I
Yeah.
embodying my younger self at different ages too. I mean, it feels different when you're embodying a 27 or a 37 or 47.
Exactly.
And so you
Yeah.
have this, like, the nice thing about living this long is that we have these blueprints that we can activate in our energy field. And then I've noticed my body starts heading in that direction.
Okay.
Um, in the same way that a 4-year-old has a blueprint of what they're going to be at 37, we
Uh-huh.
at higher ages we remember, and
Yeah.
we have some real choice, in more choice than I think that is talked about.
Uh-huh.
We tend to think of people, and yet it's very clear. Like I hear in your voice, the idea that your energy is 69. It
Yeah.
it definitely doesn't match up with
Uh-uh. Your
like
energy.
the energetic presence of what someone who's 69 has meant to me.
Hmm.
And I believe that we are part of recalibrating. I mean, I know that in the people that I hang around with, and it's great for people in their 30s and all ages to be exposed to people that at all ages until we're gone are moving a kind of vitality that is alive and present and that people want to be around. As you said, most of us at 30 had a lot more like noise. At
Oh,
now, with that wisdom, it allows us to be patient in ways and resilient in ways and clear and non-needy in ways.
Yeah,
It's
and
that's
really
much
true.
exciting.
less judgmental.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. If you said that's just the way it is, again, how true does it feel, 0 to 10?
Well, that was the way it was.
Yeah.
It's not the way it is.
Nice. Nice.
Mm.
I hope it makes sense. Like that's exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. It is.
Thanks for coming forward, Dottie.
Well, thank you. Thank you both.
You're welcome.
I enjoy you guys. You're fun.
You are too.
And you've done a lot of this work. It's so obvious. You've done it.
Yeah. We guinea pig ourselves before we ask anyone else to go to walk the walk with us.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good luck. Thanks for your courage.
Ah, how wonderful.
Yeah.
So there's the what I am worthy. So let's take love relationships. What makes you worthy of healthy, easeful, beautiful love relationships?
Mm. You know, honestly, I think I still don't have, I don't feel like I'm unworthy anymore, but I think that they're a gift from the universe. They're like, for me, finding someone who, I tend to be somewhat selective. I have a very,
Somewhat.
very selective.
Very selective.
Um, but if I find someone that I really admire and who resonates with my integrity and you know, certainly I have failings at times, but I try to live a life of integrity. Like I love hanging out with Rick because it's so easy. There's an easy flow. We have a similar philosophy and just an ease around each other. Um, when I find people like that, I feel like the universe is saying, "Hey, look at this person that I brought to you to dance with." And some people I end up dancing with for a couple months, and some people for years. Rick and I have been working together almost 11 years now, which is wonderful fun for me.
Can I refocus a little bit?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Because I think this is where we often get sideways.
Okay.
So the question is, what makes your I agree with you that a great having an actual relationship show up is an incredible. I feel very fortunate. But even if no relationships are showing up, this
Oh, you feel
idea,
worthy.
right? So, in the absence of any external proof, what's the evidence? What's the value that you would bring to a love relationship that makes you a match? Like, to me, the word worthy is, I don't use this term. I don't look at people as if they're worthy or not worthy.
They're a good match or a bad match, but it's different from them
Right.
being valuable or not.
So, what are you a good match? What makes you a good match for healthy relating? What are some of the qualities that you think have like worth and value? We can't really avoid this, so that's why I want to ask the question. What are some things that are in your makeup that make you?
For me, if I can be present with humans and not be painting my, you know, fears and traumas from other people on them or expectations from other interactions, if I can be really present with them in general, I think that's a big thing. And as hard as it is to hear, loving myself, like I still struggle with it. Sometimes it's why we have several programs on this, the self-love game and body confidence. When we love ourselves and we can let go of the shame we've been carrying, I think that just makes us that much. And I'm not saying we ever have to be perfect because then nobody would ever connect.
Yeah.
But you know, between presence and self-love and having some solid relationship skills, communication skills, you know, knowing boundaries and how to speak up. You know, it doesn't always have to be gently, but generally gently is nice, you know, for first time. I think those are the things that are core to being ready for a relationship. If we can't be present with someone, there is no relationship. I'm relating with my memories, you're relating with your memories, and we wonder why we're bored and unconnected most of the time.
Yeah.
And if I don't love myself, what am I bringing to the relationship? What do I have to offer? Usually a lot of shame and wanting to feel better about myself. And then just having good skills and connecting with humans. A lot of us aren't taught these. We're taught how to do advanced math in high school, but we're not taught how to have a conversation with another person about something that bothers us.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and I love that these are all practices. They're not like a master. I mean, you can reach a point where people look at you and like, wow, you've really mastered that. When masters realize that, yeah, they have a practice, and the practice of being present, the practice of taking care and loving ourselves. there are also some like what energy do we put off? I think for me, I'm I value kindness, and I'm capable of being kind. I value being available and showing up for the people that are dear to me, and
That's
that's a rare
presence in
quality.
people. Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
it's even more than just presence.
It's a
I'm hearing
willingness to
from a
open
lot
up.
of people that someone will make a devotion, or
Yeah,
say, "Yeah, I'll be there to help you set up for the party," and they arrive for 15 minutes late after
and
people
you're like,
have already been there, and you're like,
yeah,
"Ah,
yeah.
okay."
That's not so supportive.
So I'm just saying that as a Virgo, I've got some skill, right? I today she made lunch for me and her little boy while I was getting to be a winged stallion with him riding on my back. That was awesome. And I I asked if I could do the dishes,
Yeah,
and that was nice. So I own that about myself. We look for things that are in our character and in the things that we want to offer.
yeah.
So
And I love that Daddy said humor. I love a sense of humor.
as we fill out the antidote to worthiness, I think that we can land in a place like, okay, there are things that I are very much a yes. For each
Yes.
of us, there are things that are a yes for you to offer into a relationship, whether it's a business relationship, a love relationship, a
Right,
friendship. There are things that you want to do in exchange for money that these are things that human beings value.
right.
um, Getting like I like to get clear on what the emotional landscape is that I'm inviting people into: intimacy, presence, humor,
Mhm.
playfulness, ability to be serious, um, an earnestness, kindness, compassion.
Yeah,
um, Even when I've dug with someone who feels like they're not worthy of any kind of love relationship. They're certain, like, that's just the way it is. I'm never going to have sex with someone. I'm like, oh, okay. So what would, well, if you happen to have someone, what, what would that evoke from you emotionally? Oh, I'd be so grateful. Oh yeah, because people hate you when you're grateful for them just holding your hand, right? And they're like, huh?
I, I think
I'd love for someone to hold my hand. Oh, yeah, that's a good thing.
yeah,
So gratitude in relationship. What else?
I think
Well,
gratitude without subservient. I think there's a
right.
aspect of gratitude where we're like, I'm trying to throw a lot of gratitude at you to hope that you'll keep coming back, and that feels a little manipulative versus like genuine, like, oh, this is amazing,
This is great. Yeah,
and I'm
savor
okay
it.
in myself, and you're okay in yourself. So
So that's my invitation. Our invitation is to explore in a compassionate way. And if you do have someone in your life that's a friend, then you value them and it seems mutual.
yeah,
And maybe the relationship isn't a exact. You're looking for other types of relationships. um, Ask them, like, hey, is there anything, if you were to list two things that you find helpful, about
yeah,
useful, helpful, enjoyable, um, what might they be? um,
yeah.
so
I love that you've been here with us this hour working on this. I think again, most people run when they hear they're like, I don't want to look at that. That's gonna hurt way too much. And I love that you have the resiliency and the curiosity, like, okay, let me walk where it kind of isn't comfortable or maybe really hurts because I want to
mhm.
heal this. To me, you're a beautiful healer if you're doing this kind of work. You are helping heal the world and create the world we all want to live in. So thank you for helping generate as a group this courage and vulnerability and willingness to be worthy. Because when we feel more worthy, even if we're turning the knob just one click or two clicks, it signals something different. We radiate out something different to the universe. And I think that we become more aware. Like I know that when I'm feeling particularly unworthy or unlovable, I don't notice anyone in my life that's loving me. I just can't see it. The reticular activating my system in my brain goes, oh, nobody loves me. Do not see that.
It's just the way it is.
Yep. But if I can just turn that a click or two, it's like, oh, well, maybe there's a couple people. Oh, there's one there and one there. And oh, wait, there's actually a couple more. And we start shifting that trend. So the fact that you're doing this work is just very powerful and very dear to my heart. And I know to Rick's too. So thank you.
Thank you. Love to hear from you. Support at thrivingnow.com. Thoughts and where this leads you, especially if there's another topic as we plan for April. Very interested in where you are in your cultivating this emotional world. And I thank you, Kathy. I remember we used to talk about making a difference in the world, and the new approach, like helping create the world that we want to live in, really is grounding to me, because that I feel like yeah, it's not about what's our ecosystem that we're pulling together and coming together in, and so I wanted to share that. I've shared it with 4 or 5 people since our weekend together, so you can tell how much that is impactful.
And Jean, thank you. I love that. Thank you. She said my hair was pretty, so nice to hear. So
yes,
I hope to see you all soon.
Bye.
Hey, Noreen. Oh, Noreen, can you see your picture in the background?
It was in a bunch of videos.
It was in a bunch of videos. So, and thank you for the Christmas card you sent. That was beautiful. Bye, everyone.
Bye.